Welcome to Obsession Engineering. The weather might look a lot like Cadwell Park, but the circuit certainly doesn't, because this is Laguna Seca. I'm here to go racing with the AFM club, and once the weather clears, we'll be getting cracking with some morning practice. So this is Dave, and Dave is excellent because he's loaned me a bike. He's racing his Gen 4 BMW and he's loaned me his Gen 3 BMW. So I've already raced this for a couple of times in Mexico, but this will be the first time I've used it around a short circuit. So this is a super stock Gen 3 BMW 2015, so standard engine, full system on it, a map in it, and my suspension from home. So I've bought basically my spare set of Bitubo forks and my shock is in the back of it, so it'll ride pretty much like my bike. Jesse from Carter's at the Track has given me the opportunity to come and join them in their pit garage for the weekend, and so they're going to look after me a little bit and point me where to go, and hopefully we'll just have a bit of the crack, have a good time and enjoy some really good racing. So it's just gone 9:30 in the morning and the weather is beginning to clear to the extent of at least I could actually see the bridge sort of at the start finish line this time. So we are getting there. They have called the first group, but they're having to wait a little bit longer because it's not too bad down here, but up the hill out the back where the Corkscrew is, it's still quite bad. But hopefully in a few minutes we'll get going. I'm practice session 4 and I'm just a little bit nervous because, you know, I've actually got to go and ride around here and go straight into sort of practice, which is going to be fairly quick because most people did a day of testing yesterday that we didn't do. Oh well.
As I roll out for morning practice, there are certain things that I believe are working in my favour. They've put me in one of the fastest practice groups because I'm supposed to know how to ride a bike, and I think this is a good thing because all the other people on track know what lines to be on and are riding accordingly. I'm also on a quite familiar bike. This bike's got my suspension in it, I've ridden it in Mexico, so even though I don't know exactly where I'm going yet, I do at least know the bike is good. Probably the biggest factor in my favour though is that me and Dave Thomas went for a walk around the circuit the night before. Dave actually does some rider coaching here with Carter's at the Track and he knows exactly what lines to use, what markers to aim for, and where I should be on and off the throttle and things like that. I will admit I spend more time off the throttle than Dave, but at least I know basically where I'm going. At Laguna, everybody talks about the Corkscrew, and with good reason, it is kind of exciting. But the thing that really gets you going is turn 1, which should be flat out in 5th gear. And I'll tell you what, in morning practice, it definitely wasn't for me.
First session done at Laguna Seca. This is a cool circuit. I am far too pussy at turn 1. Turn 1's basically still the straight, it's just a kink, but it goes over a blind crest, and I'm rolling off over the crest, and you need to keep it pinned there and for probably a couple of 100 metres after before you get to the braking area, so that is going to take a little bit of manning up. Cool circuit, Corkscrew, slow it down enough, get it turned, and yeah, that's actually not too bad. I think I've got that about right, just probably 50 mile an hour slow. No, that's alright, that is. Just need to chip away quite a lot. This is Ron, and he's another of the Carter's guys, which means he's also wearing French flag leathers like Clotworthy was at the Manx. Second race of the day is on circuit. I'm race 4, 6 and 10, which is weirdly 3 completely different classes. It is quite noisy in the garage, so apologies for the poor audio. Right, what have I done since warm-up? I've changed the wheels because this set of wheels has got slicks on it, some proper Dunlop slicks. Whereas the first session I did a Q4 like fast road track day tyre that we were using in Mexico. So I'm hoping the bike will steer a little bit better with these. I've also put Eric's Olin steering damper down there because the bike had a standard one on and it's obviously leaked a little bit at some point, and she was getting a little bit twitchy in places. So I've put some tyres in it, put a steering damper on it, it's got enough petrol in it. So in a couple of races' time, what I need to do is go faster. Alright, Dave is changing springs, which is, you know, quite a quick job. It's designed to be done in pit lane, so they're nice and simple. So, big boy spring going in, spring retainer on, and then it's a case of pulling it up so you top out the top out spring, and you can get to the flats on the spring retainer. Hold that on with your adjustable spanner, the rough bugger. bullet rod off, fork cap on. That's it, very nearly, job sorted. Race 3 is on track, but they've just been red flagged. I'm race 4, and then after this one it'll be fairly quick turnaround because I'm out again in race 6. And what I'm going to do in this one is ride around, keep learning the circuit, and just keep chipping away at my lap times. And if there's people to chase at me, better, because that's always more fun. Right, so first race, red flagged on the first lap. For me, actually, that's not too bad because I didn't realise you do your warm-up lap from the holding area. Because back home, of course, we do the warm-up lap. You form up on the grid, and you do your warm-up lap from the grid, and then you reform on the grid for the start. So you actually get a practice start, and they don't do that here. They did the warm-up lap from the holding area. So it wasn't a very good start, but luckily I was at the back of the front wave anyway, so it didn't really matter. And got halfway around the first lap. I was just getting into it, and we had to stop. So unfortunately, I think Jesse from Carter's has tipped off. So I'm just hoping he's okay. Right, race 1 done. My start wasn't that much better, and because I'm not mega confident with my track positioning yet, I was quite happy just letting people go a little bit first lap, and picked off a couple, but nothing major. And then the group had gapped me, so no, I was happy enough riding around on my Todd basically. A couple of the smaller bikes in the second wave come past, and that was useful to see how much entry speed I should have. And there's a mod I need to do because I tend to ride with my foot off the end of the foot peg. And they're very long foot pegs. I'm going to move them up a little bit because I've got my feet on the floor everywhere, and that might help because at the moment I'm doing the bit where I'm thinking, well, I can't carry much more mid-corner because I'm running out of foot. It's a fairly quick turnaround, and then race 6, me and Dave are out the same grid, although I don't imagine I'll see him for very long because he's done Mount America around here and I haven't. Little Jesse did well. Jesse's second in his race. Top result.
That's right, baby. Woo!
I've not quite got as far up as second yet. I've done 2 of my 3 races now, and I'm standing outside because there's a lovely cooling breeze blowing through the garage, but it'll mess up my audio if I'm not careful. So, race 2, bit more on it early on. Knocked a little bit more time off, mid 38, I think now, 138 something. I've decided my target for the weekend's a 35 because I think that's probably respectable enough around here for a club race on scrub tyres on somebody else's bike and all the other excuses. So yeah, the circuit's cool. The circuit is very cool in it. I'm beginning to get to the point where I can get it to flow. I'm turning in a little bit early in a couple of places, and there's just a couple more bits to sort of click together in my head. And there's a couple of long corners where you just roll in for a long time on the front tyre, and I haven't done that in a while. So that's where I'm losing most of my time. Now everybody talks about the corkscrew here, and it comes to the top of the hill and you turn left and it drops real fast. But you're not actually going into it that fast. Certainly I'm not. And for me the corkscrew isn't actually much of a challenge really. It's not scary, it's just there and you're not going that fast. The one that gets you here is turn 1. because turn one, you go past the start-finish line, and it crests the rise to the left, and it's flat, as in flat out on the throttle in like 4th gear, and the bike wants to lift over the top. And I'm getting more confident with the fact that I can go over it flat and then brake. But I'm sort of going over the top, rolling it just as I've got off the top, and then I'm slowing down. So we're getting time there, but that's my weakest point at the moment. And it's actually quite ballsy, that turn one. Maybe I should have done just his test day. Well, that felt like I was actually in a motorbike race, which was pretty cool. So yeah, motorbike racing at Laguna Seca. It's not a bad way to spend your weekend. Decent start, a good start compared to everybody around me who seemed to be asleep. Up the inside of a few people, but then I went inside of the first corner, and a lot of people went around the outside because you can, but it's inside safe sort of thing. Yeah, and then end up in this real big gaggle of bikes. And they weren't going particularly quickly, but they were all over the track, and it was a bit, what's going on here? And then one by one they seemed to not be there anymore. And I don't remember overtaking that many of them, so not quite sure what was going on. But no, enjoyed that one. About, maybe not quite a second quicker, but quicker again. And yeah, actually good fun to be in a motorbike race. I did completely miss the checkered flag though, because it was the first time I come across the start-finish line with clear track. And I wasn't looking because the checkered flag isn't at track level, it's up here in a tower somewhere, and it's quite small, and it's a bit of a stupid place to put a checkered flag, if I'm honest. They do the start flag there, and that's almost impossible to see as well. So yeah, that was fun. It's fun dicing. Now I just want, selfishly I want some clear track to try and chip some lap time away. But no, that was good fun, that was. If I'd have got an extra lap, it would have been faster.
My makeup? Okay, good. First race started in 21st and I finished in 6th. And then this race I started in 23rd. I didn't get a very good start though. I was kind of in 23rd going into turn 1, and I think I made it up to maybe 10th. I actually passed a guy in the corkscrew on the curbing in the dirt.
So now that my races are done, now it's being a team player a little bit more. So Jesse is out on his little 400 first, and then he's back to back on his 600. So we're going to get his bikes ready and bits and sort him out. Justine is out on her little 400 as well. She's possibly the most excitable person in the paddock.
I'm so ready. I'm going to go faster. We're going to find some more seconds out there and kick some butt.
Woo woo! It doesn't really matter who you are in which race. The Carter's boys always come to the line. Give everybody a clap and a high five. Right, so Dave is basically there. Let's see how he gets on. Good start. Good start indeed.
Fourth?
Fourth, 1:32.4. It's going all right.
Really? I caught up to third? Ah, okay. Not bad from 24th.
So that's day one done here at Laguna Seca. It's been good fun. The circuit is really, really cool. And tomorrow, the plan is to go faster. The only modification I've made to the bike is to shorten the gearing a little bit to give it a little bit more punch off a couple of corners, because the main improvements will be coming from me. The bike is turned around ready, so the only thing left for me to do is have some dinner, put my feet up for a bit. So welcome to day 2 at Laguna Seca. The morning weather is fairly similar to yesterday. We've got lots of low cloud and mist hanging around, but today the cloud overnight's obviously been heavier because the track's actually quite wet. Now back home that wouldn't be a problem, we'd put the wets in and we'd go and have a go. But nobody here's got wets because they don't ride in the rain, because it doesn't rain very often, so nobody bothers. So at the moment there might be a little bit of waiting around. Oh well. Yesterday it was nice to see Rennie Skaysbrook turn up and have a bit of a chat with us, and Rennie is the fastest man over up Pikes Peak on a bike and is also at TT this year as a newcomer, and he's riding this quite interesting little electric bike, but unfortunately yesterday he did have a little bit of a tip off, so it's not quite as mint anymore, but it is still quite cool. Luckily Rennie's, other than a bit of a limp, he's okay, but I thought we'd catch up with the man behind the project.
I'm Brian Wisman. I am the founder and owner of Light Fighter Racing, which is a very small team of 2 guys dedicated to making electric bikes go fast around the track. I'm also the VP of product development at s1000rr Motorcycles, where as my day job I get to work on some very cool on-road, fully street legal electric motorcycles. Light Fighter is our own tech. It's our own battery, it's our own frame, it's our own motor and gearbox. We do use a stock R1 swing arm, and this bike's all about designing around the geometry, the suspension geometry that works on the racetrack. So it's a dedicated track bike. We've got 140 horsepower at the rear wheel, and probably more impressively about 240 foot-pounds of torque from the countershaft. And unfortunately yesterday at turn 3 that bit us a little bit on a cold tire. Rennie grabbed a handful. He knew he could make up some time in 3, but it wasn't to be, and the bike spin him off, and then the bike behind hit him and hit the bike, and so we've got even more damage. So unfortunately I don't have enough crash parts to repair this for today, so we'll have to repair it back at home and bring it back out. On the other hand, we have a customer bike, so Nick Lambert is running a Light Fighter and some other classes, and he's doing quite well here. Nick's our first customer. He's a avid club racer, engineer at Tesla, and so obviously very keen on electric and the future of electric and motorsport, and so had the opportunity to work with him, build a bike for him. His bike is detuned a little bit from the bike that Rennie was running, so that Nick can run in the twins classes where he wants to race, and he's done quite well. So he's been working on setup. There's a few little differences between this bike and Rennie's bike. We've got forged magnesium wheels instead of the fancy carbon fiber wheels. Still have all the Öhlins kit, nice Brembo brakes. Same chassis design, same battery and motor and gearbox design, but again tuned down just a little bit for the twins racing. The Light Fighter is going to be dedicated to making the bikes go fast around the racetrack. That's our sole purpose. I get to work on the best electric road bikes in the world in my day job with s1000rr, so this is my playground to work on the technology outside of that and figure out how to make them go as fast as possible on the track. About a 400-volt system when it's fully charged, so a lot of voltage, a lot of power potential there. Temperatures are set up here. This is kind of our charging screen, and then when he flicks the switch to make the throttle live, it'll go to a race screen. So full power at Laguna, I think you could get 10 to 12 laps, but most of the races here are 6 to 8 laps, and so we've got plenty to do the warm-up, do the cool-down, and not get stuck on track. But if we could do more than that, then we'd be carrying too much battery and the bike would be too heavy. So it's always that trade-off, and that's why it's called Light Fighter. Not only is it the road that's on the way to Laguna Seca, but it also reminds us that that's what we're out to do, is make an electric bike that's light and fun to ride at the track.
So you might have noticed there is a radiator under there. And this really natty little machined bit down here with the pipes coming to it is actually the water plenum that feeds into the motor. And this takes quite a lot of cooling because your average sort of electric drill is about 500 watts. This at peak is 115,000 watts. So it takes quite a lot of cooling. So all this machined out loveliness down here is actually part of the water system. So that is quite cool. Me and Dave have been out and done a few laps of morning warm-up. It's a bit steady this morning. I'm just making sure because I wasn't sure if the curves might have a bit of damp on or anything, but it all looks pretty darned good. We did try a slightly wider line through turn 1, so instead of coming in and going under the A of Laguna, we're now going under the C of Seca, under the bridge, just because we watched the quick boys yesterday and they seem to be using a wider line there, which gave them, I think, a straighter braking area into turn 2. We're not entirely sold yet, but we're going to give it a try in the race and see how it works out. What do you reckon, Dave?
Definitely makes turn 1 a little bit more gnarly, being more leaned over, but yeah, it definitely seems like it's going to be more of a straight braking line for 2.
That might have too many wheels, but it is damned pretty for a Beetle. So that was first race done, and that was better. Not a brilliant actual launch because there was somebody put their hands up and I didn't know whether they'd stop the start and let him sort himself out. So I was a bit hesitant. But the actual first corner, well, which is the second corner, the run into there was all right. And I got in a better group today. We were going a bit quicker, and straight away I was basically a second quicker than yesterday, and I just did a 36.9. So yeah, and we're still the same tyre from yesterday, which was a scrub, and it's all right. It's got enough grip for the lap time I'm doing at the moment. It only really spins out of 4 towards 5, where everything spins. So just living with it there. And I've got a little bit more preload for the next race because, especially the sort of banked corners, there's a lot of camber here. There's a lot of like high load corners, and I think I've got the bike a little bit soft and. So put some more preload in the front, and that way hopefully it'll just give me a bit more support so I can just push the front a little bit harder in a couple of places. Just give me a bit more confidence, but I'm happy with that. That's quicker, and I know there's more to come because I wasn't really pushing in a few places, so no, there's definitely more to go. I want a 35. That was fun. That was a proper motorbike race. Yeah, decent. Took a bit more time off. I think low 36s, so I'm not far off where I want to be. And there's places I know I could still go faster. Basically, the whole racetrack, really, if I'm honest. But no, that was cool. That was damn good fun. Got into a bit of a scrap, and yeah, that was fun. That was getting this place nailed down a bit more now, and passing up the inside into the corkscrew, I thought was a box ticking exercise.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you were not the only one who was quicker than me on the brakes of corkscrew, so that apparently is my Achilles heel this time. Yeah,
Yeah.
good race there.
It was good fun, and it was nice to have somebody smooth to chase for a bit.
Well, I guess you are welcome. I don't know. Yeah, let's see how the next one goes.
Some guy took my spot, and then I ended up just scooting over in the middle, and then everybody took off, and I didn't even get a start. So I don't know where I finished. I wasn't happy with that. Unfortunately, everybody in the top 5 just broke away because the 2 guys that positioned themselves right in front of me were just all over the place.
Oh my gosh, this is the most epic raceway, the most epic people. I can't even begin to describe what it feels like to race motorcycles and win trophies. Woo!
Right then, I have 1 race left to go. I want to go into the 35s. I've put a new second-hand tyre in, so it's done less mileage, looks in better condition. So we've got petrol, I've had a bit of fuel in me. I'm going to dig in a little bit and have a go. I know I've got loads of spare everywhere. I know I'm not really on the limit, but I'm just tickling away at it bit by bit. But I think a 35 will be a decent lap, so I'm going to try it. The only really good lap I had was on the last lap, and Dave's got the timing up, and I want to know. Dave, tell me the truth. The truth be told, Dave.
2:35.
That's acceptable, yeah.
1:35.717.
Woo, 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 woo! That was the 35 I wanted. Woohoo! Yeah, I wanted a 35. Last lap of the last race of the weekend. I always tend to do that, to be honest. Yeah, that race, start was okay, first corner was okay, not as good as the race before. And then just tried to get my head down, and then the second lap, there was a couple of people come together, crashed in turn 2, which sort of took my eye a little bit, and yeah, so that lap wasn't brilliant. And then lap 3, a guy in a Gen 4 BM come underneath me through the waved yellows at turn 2, which I thought was a not very gentlemanly thing to do. And I just had that moment where I went, do you know what? At least the bikes are out of the way, so it wasn't too bad. And do you know what? I'm having this back. I mean, I put my angry head on a little bit. So, start of lap 4, over the start finish, had a good run. I had a good run out the last corner, and I went straight underneath him at turn 1, elbows out, proper move, no yellow flags anywhere. Yeah, and then, yeah, last lap, I dug in a little bit, just made sure I hit my markers, let go of the brake a bit early to carry some corner speed, and just hit me 35. I'm pleased about that. It's not setting the world on fire, but I think it's respectable. Racing motorbikes is cool, and racing motorbikes at Laguna Seca is definitely cool. Right, now I finished racing, I am hungry, so this is it. Sandwich, American style. I might be finished for the day, but Dave's got one more.
One more.
So what's the plan, Dave?
Second place is what I'm hoping for.
Wait to set your targets moderately high. I think
No, the guy that's gonna win, he started from pole, he's a Moto2 racer, he's also 4 seconds a lap faster than me. I'm not shaving 4 seconds today.
He says his starts are good. He'll need a good one this time. Come on, Dave. Let's have a trophy. Dave's in third at the moment. Good drive out of there. Little wheelie. Hey! Second place, Dave Thomas.
But dude, that was great. Got a decent start.
Good work.
Yeah, got a decent start. And latched
you
onto
did.
rebate for a little bit. That was good.
Well done, mate.
Safe fun.
Lap time, Dave?
31 flat.
Woo! Yeah, I mean, only slightly making me look a little bit slow now, but you know, well done, Dave.
Thanks.
That was the target for the weekend, yeah?
Yes, it was. 31 flat.
Yeah, man.
So
If you'd have just tried a bit harder, you could have had a 30. Jesse's not had the best weekend, but he's still smiling and he gets the best group of people together.
That's right. It was the best riding with the worst luck, but any weekend you're bringing it home in one piece, still walking is a good weekend. All these happy, smiling faces. Everybody had a good time. It's a good weekend for sure.
So everybody should come and ride with karters at the track, yeah?
If you ride a motorcycle, you should definitely come ride with us. We'll show you how to ride it right. We'll show you how to have the most fun with it. If you ain't leaving with a big ass grin on your face, I'll give you your money back. So.
The award for hardest man of the weekend, little Jesse, who is hurting, but has been on the podium all weekend. Hell yeah!
Hell yeah. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate the support. Another podium for the box, baby. Woo!
Woo! So that's it for my weekend at Laguna Seca. The circuit is awesome, but even better than that is the people we go racing with. So massive thanks to Dave Thomas for lending me his bike, and a massive thanks to Karters at the Track and all of this gang for making me feel so welcome. So thank you for watching, and join me again next time for some more motorbike fun.